Kay is a 7-year-old girl who was born at a normal weight. She first visited the clinic at age 2, when she was 45 pounds, twice normal size, and her BMI was 30, double the normal BMI for her age. Her mother and sister are both rail thin. Lab testing showed massive insulin release, similar to that in the brain tumor children. Kay's mother kept her from all problem foods and promoted exercise as much as she could, but without effect. Over the next 5 years, Kay tried diet and exercise and various weight loss medications. Nothing seemed to slow down her weight gain. At age 7, she weighed 140 pounds, and she had a fatty liver, lipid problems, and hypertension. As a last resort, she had a lap band procedure to reduce her stomach's capacity. She was our youngest patient to undergo bariatric surgery at the time. Within 6 months post-op, she had lost 30 pounds, and her face was now separate from her neck. All her labs improved. Her mother was ecstatic, in no small part because Kay could now wipe her own behind. You're fat, your fate? In a nutshell, your body fat is your biggest long-term risk for infirmity. Nothing correlates with diabetes, heart disease, and cancer better than your fat. So is your fat your fate? Everyone says lose the fat to extend and improve your life, but virtually no one can do it. So how do you lose the fat? Better yet, how do you prevent it from arriving in the first place, and preferably leave your muscle mass in place? In order to answer these questions, a little more knowledge is required about what causes fat accumulation. Each of us starts out as a single cell, the product of the fertilization of a sperm and an egg. As an adult, we end up having a total of between 5 and 10 trillion cells, with more than 250 cell types in our bodies. Where did the fat cells come from, and why are they there in the first place? How do you make an adipocyte, or fat cell? What drives its proliferation? Can you make fewer, and would you even want to? Once a fat cell is made, how do you fill it? Finally, for all the marbles, once a fat cell is filled, how do you empty it? These are the questions that drive scientists and the pharmaceutical industry in their quest to relegate obesity to the dustbin of medical oddities, and make a bundle in the process. The sad thing is, here we are 30 years into the obesity pandemic, and we haven't yet harnessed the science to help us. How do you make a fat cell? The size of your fat tissue depot depends on 2 properties: fat cell number and size. In reality, the number of fat cells you have dictates your ultimate fate after they have been created. Once made, fat cells want to be filled. Think of a fat cell as a balloon. When empty, it is pretty small and many can be stored in a bag without taking up much space. The fat content is what blows the balloon up. When many are put together, they can fill an entire room. So to control obesity, you need only control your fat cell number. Alas, this is easier said than done. How and when do fat cells get born? In the early 1970s, Jules Hirsch at Rockefeller University demonstrated that your fat cell number is determined by age 2. More recently, research has confirmed that while there is a constant low-level turnover, the majority of fat cells are formed very early in life. Why do we even need fat cells? The flippant answer is that without them, girls would look like boys. The evolutionary answer is that fat cells are repositories of energy and are necessary for survival of the species, especially in times of famine. Fat cells are protective. They provide cushioning of vital organs. In addition, specialized fat cells provide heat after you're born to keep you from succumbing to the elements. Fat cells are not just storage devices. They are active participants in and are necessary for your metabolic health. As you will see in Chapter 8, you need your fat cells. Fat cells are the difference between being the picture of health and suffering a miserable, lingering death. What makes one person fatter than the next? How is it that Kay and her sister, children raised in identical environments with the same parents, values, and meals, can be so physically different from each other? Why does one child dream of nothing but